What's up, Inkie peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and today I have a bit of an accident. It's good for you guys. I accidentally forgot that I filmed this, so I filmed it again. So you've got a quadruple process video, so strap yourselves in because there's a lot of layouts being made today. So this is the second sketch challenge video. So I started this back in April, I want to say, and I thought it would be fun to start off with a sketch and then kind of manipulate the sketch to show how you can do it in a few different ways. So the sketch that I'm using today, I actually based off a layout that I showed you right at the start of this video from my wedding album. It was a 12 by 12 layout, and of course the layouts that I'm making today are all, I think they're all 9 by 12s, I do believe. And so I had to shrink things a little bit to make it fit, but that doesn't matter because the main focal point of this sketch is the big title. And I went through a stage of loving these big titles, and then I don't know, I must have found a new, thing to go off, or new thickers that I was obsessed with, and I abandoned the big titles, but I've rediscovered them again, and boy oh boy am I loving them for a couple of reasons. One, they make it so that you don't have to do as much embellishing, which is nice, especially if you want to bust out some quick layouts. All of these have been only sped up double time, so I managed to I might have sped up some parts a little bit faster when I was sticking things down, but they were really quick and easy to put together. So for this first one, you can see in the sketch there to my right, it only has one photo. So the photo that I used in the original layout was a 4x4, I do believe, 4x4 inch photo. And for this one, I decided to go all multiple photo crazy, and I used 4 3x4 inch photos for this one. And I just kind of squished everything around a little bit so that I could have a large photo strip going down that left hand side. So this layout has all photos from Archie's favourite book, which is called Stuck. I have cut out a couple of the fussy cutting things that I had my big head in the way for. So here I just hand cut the word stuck. This would work out really well if you had some large thickers you wanted to get rid of, or if you have a die cutting machine, or if you just want to have a go at hand cutting some letters. I'll show you a trick. I think it's the final layout. I'll show you a trick as to how I get them all the same size, all the letters. So I wanted to, because this fourth photo was kind of just floating, it was just hanging out. It wasn't connected to the other ones. I decided to mat that photo just with some bookish type pages. And I've called this one Absolutely Stuck because this has been Archie's favourite book the whole time. If you've watched the vlogs for ages, if you've watched any layouts that I've made of Archie and books, this is without doubt his fave, by Oliver Jeffers, and he is still obsessed with it. I don't know where it is at the moment. He likes to stash it secret places and then find it later on. I found that my title wasn't standing out as much, especially because I overlapped it on those photos on the left. So I just grabbed my black pen, just doing a bit of a doodly border, nice and cash, nice and messy so that you can't tell about the mistakes. It also helps tie in the black of the Absolutely as well. And then I just grabbed my little stash of roller stamps, added a bit of journaling, and then you can see there's not too much space left to embellish. And in the book, I don't know, this balloon just reminded me of the illustration style that's in the book, and it's meant for a birthday. I think it was part of the birthday themed collection by Crow Paper, and it says, "Hey, it's your day," but it doesn't say birthday. It could just be a day for reading, so I kept that on there. And then I'm trying to use up some leftover puffies, so I just grabbed anything and everything that was blue that could work, sticking a few little bits in here, and this layout is pretty much done. So it was a really quick and easy one to put together. And then for the next couple, I have a little bit fun with some different color palettes. The next layout is a very different colour scheme than what I'm used to. There's no blue, there's no pink, there is a little bit of gold. But yeah, it was really fun to work from a sketch. It's not something that I usually start off with. I usually just stick and plonk and hope for the best and hope that things go together. But it was nice having a guideline there. So let me know in the comments, do you prefer to work from sketches? Do you prefer to experiment? Do you like scrap lifting? What's your scrappy starting off point? So this photo is a photo with a lot of people in it. This is Aaron's dad's side of the family, so his brothers and sisters on his dad's side. And I wanted to kind of create my own background. So I decided to go with bold black stripes. Now, I started this off, peeps, and I will be honest, I was thinking, what have I done? What is this going to become? Just because I realised that I had to put the large letters on there and I thought they would get a little busy and chaotic. I wasn't sure if this one was going to turn out, but I thought, hey, let's just keep on powering through. And I think that's why after filming this particular video, this particular layout, I stopped and walked away because I had to walk away from my desk, and I picked up again. I think it wasn't until the week after, and I didn't realise that I'd already filmed the first two. So I just saw the sketch on my desk, remembered with my baby brain that I wanted to do a sketch challenge, and just started filming 2 new layouts. So that's where we're at today. So the trick to getting all of the letters to be the same size is to cut the pieces of paper the height that you want them first. That's the easiest way I can suggest to start off with. And then pick a width for your letters, for the strokes of your letters. So all of mine were about just a little bit less than 1 centimetre thick or so. And I just eyed that off, and I had to, as you can see, slim down a couple of letters to make it fit. But just I prefer to keep my letters really blocky, and it's just easier to cut, easier to stick on, and so it doesn't get too curvy in there, unless of course there's letters like O and D and P and all of those curvaceous letters. It's a lot easier to have a title that's got straight edges like this one. So I went with a very neutrally brown and black colour scheme, which I think is what also threw me off with this layout. And it's not until I add some sprinkly bits right at the end that I start to feel like the layout's coming all together. And I think that it's important to know that not every layout is our most favourite layout of all time. And sometimes you do need to walk away from it, whatever works for your scrappy process. And for me, I knew that at this point of day, I was done. My creative fuel tank, I guess you could say, was dry. It was done. I am so desperate to finish some of these sticker sheets. So I will say you will see the same sticker sheets popping up in a lot of the videos coming up over the next pretty much 6 months, because I've currently pre-recorded and uploaded all of my Inkie Quill YouTube videos up until I'm taking 6 weeks maternity leave, and I have done half of Let's Get Inkie YouTube, and I've also done the rest, or I think at this point I may have done the rest of June for Patreon. So I'm still working on Patreon. You guys get to see if I use any newer supplies and newer layouts, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm trying to pre-record a few things. So here, I think this is what tied the layout together. I don't know what the black stripes at the top were they're just kind of sitting there, not doing anything. I didn't really know how to embellish them, and I was struggling a little bit. So when in doubt, add the sprinkly bits or the splatters. And so I grabbed my white gel pen and just did a few little bits here, there, and everywhere, and it seemed to make the layout come together a little bit more and tie the colours in and kind of fade background back a little bit, if that makes it all sense. I hope it does. I needed some more white in there. It was looking a little bit too black and bold. So this layout is pretty much done. And as you can see, I haven't needed to do too much embellishing. I think also because I'm working on a smaller layout size, so it is the 9x12 size, there isn't as much, of course, space on the page. So I highly suggest, if you're feeling like you're in a bit of a rut, try a different size. If you're someone who only does 12x12, I think 8.5x11 is the size of a normal plastic page protector that you would put in a normal binder that you get at a stationery store. Have a try at a different size and see if you like it. And if you don't, you can just stick it onto a 12x12 piece of paper and pop it in your album like normal. So here it is the next day. Oh, this layout, this is what happens. The first layout that I film, I should do a bit of a behind the scenes of my scrappy fails when filming. The first layout of the day, I start off with good intentions. I'm going to do a quick layout. I'm going to get in, get filming, get motivated, because quite often on like a Monday, it's very hard to get into the swing of things. But the first layout, I always make way more complicated than it needs to be. Does anyone else do that? When you know you've got maybe like a deadline or a small amount of time, you decide to try new techniques or new things that you've never done before, or things that are time consuming. Here I decided to grab the scalpel because why not? And it was a blunt scalpel at that. It was one that I think I accidentally borrowed and didn't return from my high school art room. And I don't know why I did this, but I did it. I have sped this cutting up part quite a lot. So I decided to do a really chunky 3D type title. I don't know why, but that's where we're at. And as you can see, my letters are extremely wonky. It's hard to see on camera, but my curvy letters are shockingly jagged. The scalpel wasn't cutting. My hand wasn't doing things that it was supposed to. And I'm pretty sure I had the shakes a little bit this day. Had some low blood pressure, which doesn't help when you're using a scalpel. And yeah, this was a layout that I said some not very kind things to, which is why we're lucky we've got a voiceover and not real time. But I cut out all of these letters, and then I decided, which I saved you from watching, I did off camera, I decided to stick foam to the entire back of this piece of paper and stick little bits of paper onto it. Oh, it took a while. If you have a silhouette or a die cutting machine, this would be so much easier to do that way. Please don't do it this way unless you feel like a challenge, because it was not easy. So I wanted to, as you can see there, I have covered the entire back of the layout in foam and in tiny little pieces of foam too, to fit between all of those letters. And now I am putting some bits of paper behind my title so that you can tell the letters. I could have just put one giant piece of paper. That would have been the sensible thing, I guess you could say. But instead I decided to go with a piece of paper that I didn't have much of. And so I chopped it into these tiny little pieces and stuck them behind here. And I love the end look, but boy, oh boy, did it take a long time. And as you can see, parts of the letter are sticking up a little bit. I grabbed my a blue paint pen and went around the outline of the letters, which I should have done before I stuck all of the paper on, shouldn't I? But I didn't. So there's a bit of blue on some of the background white paper. It just was a bit of a kerfuffle, this page. But I had to do that because the scalpel had ripped a bit of the cloud paper. And so I had to cover it up somehow, and you could always cover it up. I was at this point very tempted to just paint this whole thing black, but I didn't. I decided to give it a try and go for it. I grabbed some neutrally type papers because I wanted to keep the softness of this page. So this is Aaron and Archie trying on Aaron's headphones for the first time. This was when Aaron's work desk was in the lounge room, so Archie could see him as he worked. And then that became not very productive, of course. So Aaron moved his desk so that he wasn't in eyeline because he works from home 4 days a week. And I think this might have been before Archie started daycare, I think. So I decided there was more space for this bottom photo. And so I decided to go a little bit cray-cray with all of the paper layers and adding some tissue paper. This is my all-time favourite tissue paper. There's something about a nice simple polka dot, black and white polka dot, that makes me smile. I just love it. What's your favourite, like a simple pattern that makes you very, very happy? I really have been hoarding this tissue paper for a long, long time. A beautiful subscriber sent me some more, which was lovely, and I'm on the last little bits of that. So I've been hoarding this tiny little square, and wherever I can I try to cut it up so that I don't waste any. So then I went through, I'm trying to use up some ephemera pieces. They're very giant though, and of course this layout doesn't really have a lot. There is a big space at the top there on the right, but I wanted to keep a bit of blank space on this page. But there wasn't too much to embellish, too much space to embellish, which was good. It was after the frustration of the foam. That foam took forever. There has to be easier ways to do it. I would suggest, if you have a die cutting machine, if you can die cut foam, that would be amazing. Or to just use bigger pieces of foam rather than teeny tiny ones. Trying to use up some of these clear stickers, so I just added some stars in bits and pieces, and then I wanted to add just a little bit of journaling. I didn't have too much to do with this page because I think I had already documented this. This might be in my traveler's notebook, possibly. I feel like I've done something with these photos or talked about this before, or I could be imagining that. But I wanted to do a label that kind of went off the page. I don't know. I felt like it mirrored the white O there in the sound on. So I really like the look of that. Just trying to stick on all of the stars, because whenever there's a sticker packet that has like several of one item, I really try to use as many of that shape up in kind of a bulk, use it up. And some of these clear stickers, I do struggle with clear stickers, I think just because quite often I'm wanting to stick them either on a pattern paper background or over the top of a photo, and the photo isn't all pale, like there's not a large pale section to stick it on. And so time for some hardy shine. Shake, 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 shake your hardy shine, shake your hardy shine. And so when I have an opportunity with a bit more of a calm background, I guess you could say this one is, I try to whip out the clear stickers as much as I can. So adding some sprinkles here, sprinkles there, sprinkles freaking everywhere. And then we're going to move on to the fourth layout because 3 just isn't enough. I have filmed a couple more of these sketch challenges, and the one that I filmed yesterday is my favourite so far. That will be sketch challenge number 4, I think. So I'm hoping to have one of these videos either every month or every 6 weeks, like every so often, over here on Patreon. And I want to show you how you can kind of manipulate sketches and scrap lifting layouts to suit either your photo size, your photo number, your layout size, and just kind of tweak it to make it work for you. So I really like the way that this one turned out finally, but boy oh boy was I ready to put this layout to the side and move on to one that was a little bit easier. So this layout is a before and after of when I got my haircut last year. I don't think we're up to that vlog yet. I'm so behind on editing vlogs. I will get there eventually. It's on my to-do list. So here I decided to call this one Chop Chop. And I am actually cutting, so I did the same trick that I did for that black and brown family layout. And I cut all of my pieces of paper the same height so that I knew that all of my letters would be the same height and they wouldn't, well, roughly the same height, and they wouldn't be too wonky. But I'm actually cutting 2 pieces of paper at the same time. So if in your title you have 2, like a double letter, you can always cut 2 pieces of paper at the same time. And I was lucky the letters in Chop Chop are quite blocky, easy ones. There's no tricky Q's, or I really have trouble with E's and F's, hand cutting those, and S's, because you've kind of got to get them symmetrical and make sure that they work out properly. Whereas the letters that I was using, I had a bit of a leeway to make them a bit wonky. So I decided to add a little black dashed line to the outline of my letters just to make them pop a little bit more. It's amazing how much a doodly border or if you outline your letters, it can really just change the way that they look on the layout and make them stand out a little bit more. Do you title all of your layouts? I've asked a couple of questions. I hope I can remember the questions. But do you title every single one of your layouts? Because I know that's something that a lot of people, there's some people that are like have to title every layout. I reckon I fall into that category. There's some people that don't like titles on any layouts. There's some people that if there's a title they think of, they use it. If they don't want to do a title, they don't do a title. Which title camp do you fall into? There's no rules with scrapbooking, which is fab. But I'd just be curious to know how many non-titlers or constant titlers there are out there in our little Patreon Inklet community. So because these 2 photos were going next to each other, I wanted to make them quite similar with their photo matting. I didn't want to one of them to stand out too much more than the other. So I just did a really subtle grey offcut that I had. These types of big title layouts are perfect if you have scraps that you want to get rid of. You see that I've done a couple of different things. This layout and the first layout used the same pattern paper for every single letter. Then the second layout, the family one, used a different pattern paper for each letter. However, they were all in the same colour family. And then the third layout, we just went all out and stabbed it with the scalpel. So there's a few different ways you can have a bit of a take on a big title. I think this would also be really fun if you had like chipboard letters and wanted to paint them, or if you had, they don't really make wood veneer alphabets, do they? That would be cool though, a wood veneer alphabet, a really big one. That'd be fun. So back on topic, I wanted to do just a tiny bit of embellishing. I needed something because it was looking a bit too blocky. And so there was this little girl that I've been hoarding on one of the crepe paper sticker sheets. And it's because, let's be honest, most of the layouts that I do are photos of Archie. It's very rare that I do a non-Archie photo, and that's just the way that I take my photos these days. So I thought that I should use this girl when I was doing a layout about myself, because it is nice to include the odd layout about yourself, the odd selfie in your scrapbook album, so that, you know, looking back, you can, not only you, but your family can look back and see photos of you, not just behind the camera, but in front of the camera too. So I added that one, and then just a little bit of journaling here on some labels. I really liked my haircut. However, there is a particular length. I think it's about 2 inches longer than this that drives me nuts. And I felt like I was at that length for a really long time. So I am growing my hair again, not as long as it was in the left-hand photo. In the left-hand photo, it was down to my waist, and it was just getting too long. My hair used to be down or a little bit low mid-thigh when I was teaching, and for our wedding it was that long, but I pinned it all up, and it was a lot to maintain. And with Archie around, dry shampoo is my best friend, and with another baby on the way, I can't do mid-thigh hair again. So I am growing it a little bit, but not that much. So for here, I wish that I had a little bit more space down the bottom here, but this works out okay. I was trying to use all the pink things because it was a nice girly layout of myself. I'm so excited to use all of the girly florals on these next birth photos, I will tell you that. And so, I found a secret stash that I had hidden for a rainy day of these little hearts and stars. I just got them off eBay. I did get a lot of questions. The seller that I bought them from doesn't sell them anymore, so I can't link them. But I just searched for like tiny heart stickers or little hearts or something to that, I think, or little stars maybe. And they're really handy, but you could always just doodle them on, or just use a little marker to draw them on if you'd like little sprinkly bits, or enamel dots. Enamel dots are fab too. I am trying to work through my enamel dot stash because boy oh boy, have I got some pretty enamel dots that I've forgotten about. And the layout is all done. So I hope you enjoyed this sketch challenge. It was a bit of an epic process video. I hope you sat through it okay and that I didn't bore you. I love the layouts that I made. And then at the end, when I took all the photos and I show you the layouts, I forgot the first one. We were deep in baby brain this week, the week that I filmed this. I think that baby brain's not as bad now, but coming to the end of that first trimester, it hit me hard. So I don't have photos of the first layout, but you've got the other 3 to enjoy. And I hope that you have a lovely day. See you in the next video. Bye.